Hello YouTube, and welcome back to my channel, Quails, Bees, and Gardens. If you had a chance to look at my last video, it was on a recap of the first beekeeping class that I had taken. Well, I had my second bee class since then, and this video will be a recap of what they went over with us during that class. There were three titles that they went over, three subjects. And so they went over first the historical impact, then they went over the biology of the bee, their castes and the roles that they that consist of a bee colony. And then the last part was things bees collect and their what they gather for their nutrition. If you remember, I did discuss a little bit about nutrition last week and how it is necessary that when you start beekeeping that you have the adequate amount of water and that they have foliage that's going to keep them on your property and not looking for another location that's going to provide these essential components that they need to survive. I did take some bullet points, so I will be looking off to the side here. And that's what I'm doing, just making sure that I stay on point and that I cover everything that I wanted to share with you. Also, speaking about things they collect, I will be given a list that they shared with us of some of the things that they get their nutrition from. And if you don't have that on your land right now, then it's something, as I mentioned in the last video, that you might want to plant yourself and grow so that you can keep them that way. Also, if you stay tuned to the end of the video, there is a couple fun facts that I wanted to share with you that I thought was interesting and you might think is interesting also. So I'll just hit a couple of things up under the three subjects that they went over with us. And the first that I said was the historical impact. And so they told us that since 7000 BC is when beekeeping kind of made it on the scene, as early as 7000 BC. And the Egyptians, I'm going to be giving some dates here from 1600 to 1500 BC. The Egyptians, they did beekeeping a lot, and they did beekeeping in pots, and we went into a lot of that. Also, one fun fact that I will share now is that in Haiti, one use that they find helpful in having bees and the location to plant them is around their crops. So they have bees around their crops to keep the elephants from trampling through their crops or whatever, so they won't lose their crops. So I thought that was interesting in the learning. And from the years 1851 to 1900 is called the golden years of beekeeping, and this is where the most advancements were made in how we keep bees. I mentioned that the Egyptians, they were beekeeping in pots. So between this area, you have more of the modern things starting to take place. And when you do YouTube search, Google search, or whatever, I'm finding that you see the name Langstroth a lot, and that's because I'm going to give his dates. Well, actually, I don't have it drilled down, but it's somewhere between 1851 and 1900 that he started modernizing the hive. And so right now you can get hives named after him called the Langstroth hives. And so he's accredited with that, and a lot of people live by his type of beehive. And there are others, but it's seeming to me that the Langstroth is the most popular, for lack of a better word, and it is the one that they recommend at the location where I'm studying beekeeping. Also, we'll get into a little bit about the biology of the bee. There are 4 stages to how they develop. Then you have, of course, the egg stage. Then they move to the larva stage. Then they move to the pupa stage, and then they move to the adult stage. And you have 3 classes of the honeybee, and they are the queen bee, who is developed from a fertilized egg, and you have the worker bees, who are also, I think they are fertile. They come from fertilized eggs also, and then you have the drone, who comes from an unfertilized egg. And within a hive, you will have 1 queen bee, but you can get into other, but just 1 queen bee, and then a worker bees can be up to 2,000 bees, 20,000 bees in a hive. And the drone bees, it varies by the season, because the drone bee is a male bee, and they are used for reproduction purposes. They keep the queen laying eggs, and so that's their only job. And since they don't go out a lot during the colder months, I believe that's why it says that it varies upon the season. But it also says that it could be up to 3,000 of them. And if the numbers are wrong, I'm just trying to at least get your head wrapped around the idea of what a beehive consists of. And this is just my quick notes. And if there's an area where you want to further research, then you can get deeper into any of these that I'm speaking about now and learn more for yourself. I just wanted to do a brief overview. Then they talked about the physiology of the bee. 3 sections of that is it's the abdomen, the thorax, and the head. And the head has 5 eyes. You have the 2 big eyes, and then you have 3 smaller eyes that are called ocelli. The 2 big eyes, I think they function normal. They do see colors differently than we do, whereas we can see all colors on the color spectrum. I think the way they broke it down, they only see blues and grays on the color spectrum, but you can look into that. But what you'll want to get out of what I'm saying there is that their vision is not like our vision. That's the real thing I wanted to bring out. The 3 smaller eyes, if I'm not mistaken, they're the eyes, they don't see vivid like their 2 big eyes. They pick up on movement. They're stimulated a lot by that. And in other beekeeping videos, you will see how they move real slow. I noticed that. And now I'm putting 2 and 2 together, and that may be so they don't set off those 3 eyes and, get to be angry. And then they're turning their attention on you. So I think that's why they move so slowly. That's just me putting that information I've learned and what I've seen on YouTube videos, just coming to my own conclusion with that. Going back to what I was saying about the nutrition, they need I'm just running through a little list of what they need as far as their nutrition. It's protein, it's carbs, it's minerals, it's fats, it's vitamins, and it's water. And the things they collect, which is the third subject that they went over, things they collect is water, resin, pollen, and nectar. And if they get adequate nutrition and they are able to collect all these things they need, then the things that they will produce is the honey, the wax, and the propolis. Make sure I'm not leaving out anything. Okay, so I did say I was going to give you a list, and it's just a small list. They gave us a worksheet that's several pages long, but I'm going to give you just a little bit of what they say they like to feed on. So, and I'm going to give you the percentage too, because they gave it to us. So the first one is pine at 7%, buckwheat at 11%, sunflower at 15%, lavender at 19%, alfalfa at 21%, canola at 23%, and some varieties of clover at 25%, and almond at 26%. And one thing that I did learn as far as the 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 makeup of the flower that they feed on, you have unisex flowers and bisexual flowers. I think I'm saying it right. And so they went over the anatomy of a flower. You have some flowers that have male and female characteristics. So we learned that, so like a bee, if they are responsible for, because each one of them have their own duties, and one may be responsible for pollen collection, I believe, and another set may be responsible for nectar. I hope I'm using these terms right. But whatever it is that they're collecting, they don't deviate from. So one bee will go to one type of flower and another bee will go to another type of flower. But the flower that has both male and female characteristics, both of those category of bees can feed off of that flower. And one other thing that we learned is once they feed off one source, they do not leave that source until it's depleted. That was an interesting thing. And so I'm coming to the end of my video, and this is the fun fact that I said if you stayed at the end of that I would share with you that I learned. So the inside of the beehive is black, that you put the cover on it. So it's black, it's dark. And the bee, there's an interesting relationship between the bee and their physiology in how they have a relationship with the sun. So even though it's dark on the inside, they communicate with each other. And one reason why they may communicate is, like I said, if there's not adequate water or food where you're keeping them, and a bee has traveled off and they have found another source of the water or the food, then they will communicate. And I thought it was interesting. They communicate through a dance. It's a bee dance, and it's called a waggle dance, where they they put off some type of communication mechanism to have all the bees gather around them because they've come back and they have news. And this, I think this could be in the hive or out of the hive. As a matter of fact, yeah, it's both. And they will either fly around in a circle, or the one that most resonated with me is they'll fly around in a figure eight. And if it's in the box, that the figure eight, the center part of the figure eight is in relation to the sun and wherever the sun is. So if the water source, so they hone in the direction of the sun. I'm a bee right now, so the sun is right here. And if my water source is this degree from the sun, then I will do my dance this way. And the center line would be here. And so when they go out, that's the directions that they have in relation to the sun. And when they get out the box, they can find the food source or water source. And I thought that was interesting and a fun fact to share with you. You don't want your bees doing the waggle dance. So you want to make sure that so far you know where they need to be placed in your yard and what it will take to keep them as far as the water and the foliage and what have you. So a bee class is this week in a couple more days. And so bee week recap will be coming up next week. So I hope you enjoyed the information that I've shared with you. If you're new to the channel, thank you. We welcome you here. If you're returning, I appreciate your coming back. And I do hope that you consider subscribing. And if you like the video, please like it. And if you think this information might be helpful to someone else, please share it. Well, thank you so much for listening to me today, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching Quails, Bees, and Gardens.